internship. You know, of course I was on July 1st, then I'm on July 4th. And we knew about this secret hatch on the 7th floor of Walter Reed where you could get to the top. So a bunch of my friends and I were making plans and all that sort of stuff. We know when the fireworks are going to go off, and we climb up to the top of Walter Reed, and we're watching the fireworks over the monuments and stuff. It was really cool. Kind of snuck away from clinical care for about 20 minutes and did that. No one was, I mean, they didn't need us. We had our beepers on. But what a fun memory. And people know me that know me. I am a little bit of a rebel, and sometimes I'll step outside the lines, and we did. Later on, there was a psych patient that found that door, and so they closed it after that. He was fine. He didn't get hurt, but they don't want patients wandering up on the top of Walter Reed. Like about a month later, too, I had my first patient. They called me. You had just fallen asleep at 2 in the morning. You're tired, and it's like 2:30. And they called me and say, Dr. Croll, this patient in room 207 has a heart rate at 250. And I'm just shaking. I'm trying to wake up. I'm like, oh, wait a second. Where am I? And who am I? And then, what did you say again? They said, his heart rate's 250. And so I said, okay, I'll be right there. And I wake up. I'm still trying to remember where I am, who I am. And so I get there and sure enough, her heart rate's 250. And I said, ma'am, are you okay? Are you feeling all right? She said, yeah. Well, and so there's a protocol to treat it, and so I treated it with, the vagal maneuvers didn't work, and so we ended up using adenosine. And turns out the next day I was legendary. Like all these people, did you hear what Dr. Croll, can you believe it? And apparently you're not supposed to give that medicine the way I did it. You know, this is not malpractice, I don't mean that. Like most people take that patient to the critical care, the ICU unit with help and all these things. I was like, well, his heart rate's here and we're gonna do this. And so we did it, and it was fun memories of being a young physician at Walter Reed. Then I remember in 99, I went to JRTC, and that's a training program where we train before we deploy. And before that time, we weren't even, when 9/11 hadn't happened, we didn't have all these deployments and stuff. So a lot of times that was the big event in your career, was to pretend to train. Who knew you were going to have all these deployments? So we're at JRTC. And we're there for 4 weeks in Fort Polk, Louisiana. It's miserable again, summer, hot, nasty bugs, everything. But we're having fun. We're doing stuff. We're pretending and playing and setting up the hospital and doing all that sort of stuff. Well, so one night they had this thing called Op 4. And Op 4 are the opposing forces. And we knew that they were going to come in and ambush the hospital. I mean, everyone kind of knew. We didn't know the time, but we knew that was, and so you needed to be prepared and doing drills and all that stuff. So a couple of friends of mine, well, here we go again. There's the rebel. So we said, wouldn't it be fun to ambush them? And so here we are, the medical piece. We're sneaking out. We're crossing concertina wire. This is down at Fort Polk. We sneak all the way around the woods. Like with all these, we're getting into it because we're like, oh, this is cool. We're soldiers. We're medical doctors too. And so we get, and it took 2 or 3 hours, 1 to 3 in the morning or something. And now it's like 3:30 or 4 in the morning, and here comes the ambush. We see it. The one thing we didn't have was anything to weapons. We couldn't like ambush them. Like all we could do was like, I see you. So next time I'm bringing like squirt gun. I'm bringing like paint guns or something, because they rejected our ambush. Like we're like, we got you. Like we took their vehicles. We took because they thought no one was around. They went through where they were going in to kind of get into the cache. And we're like, we got your vehicles and we shot you guys up. They're like, you did not. It was fun. Then we got in big trouble because we weren't supposed to sneak out of the hospital, cross concertina wire, and be out, on that. So, but again, what a fun memory, huh? You should have fun in your career. And, you should be professional, but you also should have some fun. I think of 2001 in Bosnia. We deployed. We left Fort Bragg the night of September 10th. Right, so and we had to go pick up folks from the 10th Mountain. So the 10th Mountain is in New York, for those of you who don't know. And so we cruised up to New York. So we're in the New York area, airfield, at around 4 in the morning on 9/11. And no idea what's going to happen a few hours later. But we pick up these soldiers and then we ship off. And I remember we got there, we flew to Shannon, Ireland, refueled, and then we went to Bosnia. And this is a peacekeeping mission, which has been going on for 10 years or something. But so we got there, and somebody came on the plane and announced there's been this attack on the United States. And we're all thinking, no, there has not. This guy's trying to get us, real military and put on our, this stuff. Like, no way. It turns to find out we rushed to the TV fields, and sure enough, 9/11 did happen. And we didn't find out for 5, 6, 7 hours after it happened, of course. But when we did, the first thoughts are to your family. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my family lives 11 miles from the Pentagon, what is going on there? And you couldn't, communication wasn't happening, and there's just so many thoughts that go through your mind, and that's where God often comes right alongside you when you don't know, when you need it the most, and steadies you. And God has been a steadying point in my life throughout our career. It's also, when you take it from the perspective of my family, they were also panicked and scared and nervous, and friends of ours, were injured, some severely injured, but who survived. Friends who we didn't know where their fathers and mothers were. Our children went to school with a whole bunch of folks that worked in the Pentagon. And so it was a very stressful time, and yet we've seen God's faithfulness then and throughout for our family. And what a neat time, again, to deploy for your country and for your colors. When your country needs you, when they call, what a great thing to be able to do. Then shortly thereafter, so we came home in 2002, and then the Iraq War kicked off in 2003. And somehow I got on the short list, and here I am deploying again. So I was home about a year, can't remember exactly, but something like that, and we're going again. Sort of the same unit with a few different players, but we're there in 2003. And that was pretty austere, I will say. We were only a little bit behind the fighters. We drove up from Kuwait to Baghdad, and so many memories in there. I was thinking, one of the memories was, before we left Kuwait, there were Scud missiles that Saddam was firing, right, if you remember, and so our Patriot missiles are launching to knock them out of the sky and blow them up. And we're getting ready to deploy, to drive up to Baghdad, and these things are going off, air sirens are going off. We're getting into Mach 4 chemical suits because we're saying, well, he might have chemicals in those Scud missiles. And a colleague of mine was really afraid, and I just said, come with me, and we went to the bunker. And I'll tell you, I'm not a singer, and I'm not a big musician guy. I'm not all about music, although I love music. I think it's fantastic. And I was just thinking of old hymns. I was thinking of relaxing, songs that had meaning. And I was calm as can be. Let's go. Let's put this on. We're going to be fun. Just you can meet God in a bunker. You can meet God anywhere, and it's fantastic. And just great memories. I think of a couple other things that happened there. Our first night, we're on a 50 vehicle convoy. Imagine 50 vehicles like this or bigger. We were deuce and a half and 5 tons and all these things, and got a couple of wreckers. So we're driving there, and we get a flat tire. And the plan, now I wasn't in charge, but the plan was, okay, if anyone gets a flat tire, you stay there, and the other 49 vehicles keep going.
Yeah, right.
Okay, now I was not the author of this plan, but that was the plan. So I find myself with a flat tire in the middle of Iraq with burning oil fields. I can see them. I'm thinking to myself, there were bad guys over there that blew stuff up. So we get in a little circle and we point our 9mm, or 9mm in a circle out. I would probably do better with a rock. I can fire a weapon, but a 9mm in the middle of a fight. By the way, when we were at OBC, Patricia was a better 9mm shooter. She was better at 9mm than I was on the range. So we met at OBC down in Fort Sam Houston. So we're doing that. We catch up, and then we double time it. We speed up and try to catch up. And somehow, I have no idea how this happened, because they don't have real good roads. We caught up with the other 49 vehicles, and we got together. Those kind of things. You're scratching your head, going, all I wanted to do was go to medical school, and how did I get myself into here? And yet, I would never get rid of that. I would never change that experience. What a great memory to have. I think of one soldier. He's a military policeman. He's probably about 28 or 30. His name is Troy Johnson. And in the middle of, I took care of mostly Iraqis, probably 75% Iraqis who were wounded. So what a great thing to do to give at that time, at the beginning of the war, to just give American goodwill, humanitarian aid to someone who was injured. Phenomenal. And I talked to several of those Iraqis who couldn't, broken English or could barely speak, but you knew they were saying thank you so much. One guy told me, I'm going back to 2 or 3 kids and my wife, and so meaningful, things that you'll treasure forever. But back to Troy Johnson, this soldier was a hero, as we have so many of them. And some of the bad guys had told a 5-year-old girl, take these cluster bombs over to those soldiers. And so this girl was bringing cluster bombs to a group of soldiers. And what he did, in a split second, he threw those off of her hand, threw her to this side and jumped on those grenades, essentially grenades. And we got to take care of him. And that's the highest calling, that's the highest honor, when you're taking care of a fellow soldier member who is near death, who is dying, and who you can use the knowledge that you've gained to try to help. And all of us, I mean, it's a huge team. You know, there's technicians and nurses, there's other surgeons, doctors. You know, everybody is all focused. We're giving blood. You know, we're doing urgent blood bank because we don't have a blood bank that's fully functional yet. It's right at the beginning, and so. The end of that story is we were able to get him to Germany so that he could see his mother and father. And there's a time frame, and the air vac system is unreal.